The views, opinions, and representations expressed on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network and its website are those of the hosts, guests, and participants, and are not necessarily those of or endorsed by the network, its affiliated stations and broadcasts, the management, other hosts, or advertisers of the network. The shows found on the Night Dreams Talk Radio Network can, but do not necessarily, promote any particular lifestyle, belief, religion, political affiliation, or other personal practice. These shows are for entertainment purposes only, and are not intended to treat, diagnose, and/or claim any cure of disease or condition, or give any medical or legal advice.
You're listening to my friend Gary Anderson on Night Dreams Talk Radio, the best in paranormal radio.
Well, John, not the best, not the worst, somewhere in between. Number 78 from what I heard on the ratings here lately. Anyway, good evening or morning, depending on your time zone and where you live. Tonight, you're listening to me, Gary, on Night Dreams Talk Radio After Dark. Tonight, we got a great guest. We have Mary-Joyce from a great website that covers, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, earth changes. Mary-Joyce will be on right after this.
You can advertise your business on Night Dreams Talk Radio, and you will be heard worldwide. Why not contact us at nightdreamstalkradio@gmail.com.
If you would like to hear Night Dreams Talk Radio on your local radio station, let them know. Tell them to check out www.nightdreamstalkradio.com, and thank you.
You are listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio Network, from our compound to you worldwide, with your host, Gary Anderson.
And that is me. I hope everybody's getting better weather. We're going into summer. I can't wait till the weather gets nice. I can go out and plant my garden and have a lot of fun outside. Anyway, tonight we're going to be talking with Mary-Joyce. Mary, are you here?
I am.
Well, how you doing, kid?
Enjoying the nice warm weather also.
Oh, yeah, it makes me want to go out and have, a nice lemonade and sit on, the deck and just look at the wild animals going up and down the trees. Like we got a mini farm, and, we got raccoons like you wouldn't believe around here, besides goats that love to get out of their pen. Plus, we got many horses. So, I just love this time of year.
About the only thing I can tell you is we have a lot of wild turkey here in the mountains, and they just go parading by the house.
Oh, wow. Do you use them at all for Thanksgiving? Or are they too gamey?
No, I'm not into shooting them. I guess if I got desperate, I might, but otherwise we just leave them alone, and they go through the neighborhood, and just they're friendly to everybody.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I hear that quite a bit. One of my friends where he lives said that, well, I won't tell you what he does, but around Thanksgiving time, he said he never runs out of turkey. Anyway, a question for you. You want to go ahead and tell everybody about your website here tonight?
Okay, real briefly, we started the website in 2008, and it started because there were so many UFO sightings here in the mountains of North Carolina. The reason the name is Sky Ships Over Cashers is because some remarkable things have happened in the way of UFOs over this little ridge-top town of Cashers. And I know that you've been covering the UFO topic, I guess, quite a bit in the last week. And what I'd like to do is to share with you some of the more extraordinary UFO sightings that we've had in this area. We get the ordinary things all the time, different shapes and different colors and, flitting across the sky. But there's been some really remarkable things that have shown up here.
Oh, what has been reported here lately? Is it more than normal?
Well, it comes in batches, and the story that's popping into my mind is not real recent, but it still remains very, very unique. And Glennis Heenan, who is really our sky watcher up there, had never seen UFOs until she moved to Cashers. And about a year after she started seeing them, she had a very strange experience. And suddenly there was this big bang on the side of her house, and she was on the second floor, and it made her freeze, and she was wondering, what in the world is that? And when she finally turned, she saw this big apparition in the trees by her house. Now, what had happened was she first saw like a small UFO way up in the sky, and what got her attention initially was this beam of light came down like a laser beam and hit the parking area next to her house. And then the bang came, and then this hologram of Jesus appeared in the trees. And it was about 30 to 35 feet tall. It actually stayed there with some kind of movement for 20 to 30 minutes. And it clearly was working like a hologram. If anybody knows about holograms, the basic thing is you really have to have images coming in from two directions. So this one beam was coming down from the UFO and hitting the ground, and then you go over and this hologram appears in the trees. So there was definitely a connection with the UFOs. The image, and this is what most people, really want to know about, is how detailed she saw this image. And even though it was huge, it was not like an apparition. It looked solid. And this woman is, by trade, a hairdresser. And so she was really noticing things that maybe some of the rest of us wouldn't immediately commentate on. And what I'd like to do, because it's so unique, is just read the description of this hologram that she saw. And she said she saw it from his head to his sandals, and that he was looking straight at her, and his eyes were very light, perhaps hazel would describe them best. His hair was light, sandy brown with reddish or chestnut highlights. And I'm going to go back to some Indian descriptions for you, too, to show that there's some universal aspects to this description. But his hair was sandy brown with reddish or chestnut highlights. It wasn't one solid color. It was parted in the middle, flowed like freshly washed and dried hair in a gentle breeze. Now, doesn't that sound like a hairdresser?
Oh, yeah.
And she said it was beautiful, and his beard was darker, but it still had the chestnut hue, and it was neatly trimmed. He was wearing a white flowing muslin robe with three-quarter length sleeves. There was a long, loosely fitting vest jacket made of the same material that was over it. It was belted at the waist with a sandy brown cord, and and there was a leather pouch on a leather thong hung around his neck. I found that really interesting because in any depictions of Jesus, I've never seen that, and that really got my attention. Perhaps that's the way they carried their money at that time, because I don't see pockets in these robes that they were wearing. And in his right hand, he was carrying a rod that came up to his shoulder. It was made of shiny wood that had like irregular shapes on it, like a tree branch. And she even described the sandals, and she said it was thick soles, and there was a cord over the arch of the foot and another cord wrapped around each ankle. The fact that it stayed there for 20 or 30 minutes, and though it maintained the same position, it was still moving kind of like it was alive. And if anybody's been to Disney and gone through the Haunted Castle, you know how vivid some of these holograms can appear. So that was really one of the... nothing else has ever been described like this. It's been a one-time deal here. So that would be one really unique thing that I haven't heard other places.
Now, Mary, did she say how long it appeared for before it disappeared?
Yeah, it was she said it was somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes.
Oh, wow. Because usually any type of report I get, of aliens like that or something, is a matter of only maybe a few seconds and then it disappears. That's a long time.
Yeah, well, like I said, I wouldn't have immediately jumped to the idea of a hologram except for that laser-like beam of light that was coming down at the same time. And I really can't describe how holograms work, but I do know there has to be the two images coming from two directions to make it look 3D.
Was there any audio or sound with it at all, or just the image?
No, there must not have been, because she never mentioned sound. Except before she saw it, she heard this bang on the side of the house, and it was loud enough that it... she said she froze for a second, because she lives in... not only is she at the top of a ridge, but she's in like a little bowl-shaped place by a creek, totally surrounded by big, tall trees. And so she's kind of isolated, or she was at that time, and that would give you a real reason to be concerned if you're hearing a bang at the side of the house. So she really was fearful at the beginning.
Yeah, I would either think a big tree has come down on the house or maybe a Bigfoot, one of the two.
Right.
Interesting.
And there's been other things where, we've gotten images that just are very, very strange. Then there were like 4 UFOs that were kind of in a U shape, which I have seen on the internet at some time or another. So that U, like a horseshoe shape, that in itself isn't totally new. But these 4 horseshoes warped in and out of the numbers 1619, I believe. And just formed in the night sky. That was another time that was really, really unique. So these different images, you just don't hear a lot about things like that.
No, you don't. And these are all from credible people that you're getting these reports from. This particular woman, I knew before she ever started seeing UFOs. And she was originally from South Africa, and then she lived in London, and she lived in California, and she lived in Houston. Never, ever saw a UFO till she moved to Cashiers. So Cashiers still remains a hot spot, though right now we're mostly just seeing UFOs dart around up in the sky like many, many people see. These unique things, in fact, a lot of them were happening in 2015. And we had UFOs that looked like asteroids. And she got pictures of these, so we do have them on the website. And most people know what an asteroid looks like. This was not lit up. You could only see it because of light on the ground. And it hovered like a rock in the sky. And it just didn't look like any kind of UFO you could ever imagine. If it had indeed been like an asteroid, it would have been moving. This hovered. There's also been a UFO, and it